Hereby call to order the Roseville Economic Development Authority meeting for Monday, April 13th, 2026. Mr. Executive Director, would you call the roll, please?
Member Graff?
Here.
Member Bauer?
Here.
Member Strawn?
Here.
Member Schroeder?
Here.
President Rowe?
Here. And with us at the dais, we have our EDA attorney, Rachel Tierney, who's on my right at the end, and our executive director, also known as City Manager Pat Trudgeon, on my left at the other end of the dais. We have other staff who will be participating and guests as the agenda items come up. I would note for people in the audience, if you do have a cell phone, to be sure and silence it or otherwise assure that it doesn't disrupt the meeting this evening. For members of the public who are here, we do have a complete set of all the meeting materials in a 3-ring binder on the back table under the big clock by the back door in the chambers here. We also do have individual copies of the agenda that are available for members of the public if you'd like to follow along with both the EDA as well as the later council meeting this evening. With that also, we would just note that I'll save that for later. There'll be suspense for everyone. With that, we'll ask folks to stand if you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Normally, as part of our EDA meetings, we would take up approving the agenda. There are only 2 agenda items on the agenda this evening, so I'm presuming there's no changes being proposed.
No changes, Mr. President.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Member Bauer, seconded by Member Strawn. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. We have our agenda for this evening. We'll forego the general public comment at this time and take that up in our council meeting immediately following the EDA meeting. So we can proceed right to our business items. And our first business item this evening is item 5A, which is to consider authorizing the president and executive director to execute documents facilitating the redevelopment of 1495 Twin Lakes Parkway, formerly known as the PIC Terminal. I'll turn it over to our Housing and Economic Development Program Manager, Jeannie Kelsey, to bring this item before the EDA for our consideration this evening. Welcome.
Thank you, President Rowe and board members. For your consideration is a development that we're very excited about because this is one of the last pieces out in the Twin Lakes redevelopment area that the city has had as a priority since 2000, in early 2000s. And so I wanted to bring this to you, if you can give us the overhead, and we'll just show you the site plan, just to give a general layout for you to see. The rest of the pictures of what is being built is in your packet, but for your consideration, thank you. For your consideration tonight is the environmental remediation assistance that was committed by the EDA in July of 14 of last year, 2025 already. And so in the packet also too, you have information as it relates to an environmental grant that we got from Ramsey County. We did get 4 different grants that you supported for this application as well for the site. The developer has asked, though, the EDA to be the grant awardee on the Ramsey County funds in order to mitigate any possible tax consequences that your partnership would see. So in the packet is that a grant agreement for your consideration. And then in addition to, we have a total of development agreement that we are looking at applying $4.4 million approximately of our environmental cleanup funds that have been being collected out at the property since the original 2008 when we started this TIF district. If you have any further questions, but for your consideration then is also the collateral assignment, and that is from the bank asking for us then to subordinate the development agreement as well as providing it to them as well. So I have the developer here if you'd like to ask them any questions, or we'll stand for.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Kelsey. We'll see if we can play Stump the Developer this evening. No, first we'll see if there are any questions from members of the EDA. This is an item that has been before us a number of times before, and so we're fairly familiar with it. Questions from the EDA? All right. We'll check if there's anyone from the public who wishes to speak to this item this evening. Once again, this is to approve a number of arrangements and agreements associated with this project to help facilitate moving forward the grant fund agreements as well as the the private development contract are tools by which that sets up the understanding for the expenditure and use of the various grant funds as well as the city financing funds that are available to this project. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak to this item this evening? Does not appear to be the case. We'll close the opportunity for public comment and we'll move to council consideration. We do have the two resolutions, which I believe those two resolutions, action on those would accomplish all of the approvals that need to be done this evening.
Correct.
All right. Member Schroeder.
Yes, I'm excited about this development. I'm glad it's getting to this point, and I would move to adopt the resolutions provided in attachments 4 and 5.
Second.
All right, it's been seconded by Member Strawn, and a motion made by Member Schroeder to approve those two resolutions authorizing these various agreements and understandings. Discussion on the motion as the maker, Member Schroeder.
I think I already supported it.
All right, as the seconder, Member Strawn.
Thank you for continuing to believe in this project and for continuing to find ways to make it work for the community. It's exciting to see this property come to something after so much time being essentially just a brownfield that is undevelopable and developable, and we're very appreciative for that continued dedication from our staff and from the developer.
All right, other discussion on the motion?
I would just say it's really good to get this last site done because it's been hanging around us for a long time, and to have the hazardous waste just sitting there and the possibilities that go with that going further and so on. I'm sure the community is going to be glad to have that cleaned up and made into a useful property for us.
All right, other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Those two resolutions are approved.
Mr. President?
Mr. Trudgeon.
If I could just take a moment to note, and it's been alluded to, this is the last piece of Twin Lakes. The mayor can appreciate this, but when I first arrived in 2007, almost 19 years ago, this entire area, including the PIC property, was covered with vacant trucking terminals and storage trailers, and a lot of you can remember that. And actually, before I arrived, there was quite a lot of controversy in the community that the mayor can certainly attest to. So it's really gratifying, even though it took quite a long time. We had a recession in there, we had COVID in there, ups and downs of the economy, but it's been really gratifying to see after that many years, and I think it was probably first talked about as Twin Lakes late 80s, early 90s, so it really goes back quite a ways. So I just didn't want this moment to pass without acknowledging all the great work of staff throughout the year, the council support, and of course the development community in making this happen. These sites are not easy to develop, and it takes a lot of courage to go into them and a lot of work, so really just wanted to appreciate that, and especially appreciate Jeannie, who's been along for the ride just as long as I have on these sites here, and Janice for getting this across the finish line. So it's really quite the accomplishment. So just wanted to pause and mention that for everybody, just to give some background on that.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. And, the only thing I would add is that probably one of the additional pieces of the whole process was a little bit of litigation over the years. We had to have some of that. You can't do a development without that, it seems like. But it was really an effort at engaging the community, making sure that what we did on that site ultimately matched with, as best we could, with what the neighbors around that area as well as the broader community were looking to see. And so I think that with all of that, all those steps, all those fits and starts, all the pain associated with those over the years, and certainly, council members from Dean Mashka to Amy Island to Greg Schrader to Tom Q, Tammy Poost,
Jason?
Jason Hetton, Bob Wilmus, Jeff
Craig.
Johnson, Craig Klausing, Mayor Klausing. All of those folks hopefully can be aware that this is wrapping up now with this project and can be excited about it. And maybe we need to invite them all to the ribbon cutting. All right. Well, that once again, the action's been taken. So this is all just kind of like the extra, the icing on the cake, so to speak. Right. Exactly. So once again, we wish the developer the best of success in wrapping up the project. And certainly, by no means is this the last step or even the easiest step for them going forward. So there's still a few more hoops to go through, so to speak. But we certainly want to do our part, as we've been trying to do all along, to make sure that happens. So. Once again, best of luck, and we'll look forward to that ribbon-cutting ceremony sooner than later.
Thank you.
All right, and with that, then, we'll go to item B, which is to consider authorizing the president and executive director to execute a professional services agreement with Neighborhood House to administer an emergency rental assistance program. And this is an item that's been previously before the board, but is back for our hopefully final consideration this evening. And I'll turn it back over to Ms. Kelsey for this item.
Thank you, President Rowe and board members. And I'm just going to slightly just go over this program with you so that you can have a thorough understanding and also give you some opportunity to provide some feedback. Just giving you a information as it related to this program is this program was actually in the works even prior to a lot of eviction issues for residents in our community. And so I wanted to give you an outline of what we've developed and from you giving us authorization to come back forward with a program for you. At your last meeting of February, we did get authorization to spend up to $132,000 of funds. We were looking at that for over a 2-year period of time. Basically, we are budgeting $60,000 a year into programming for paying for people's rents. And also a 10% administration fee on top of that. So that's how the total is a budget of $120 for the assistance, rental assistance, and then the $12,000 is going to be in the administration fee to Neighborhood House. In addition to, I wanted to give you eligibility criteria. Everyone needs to be, first of all, a Roseville resident in one of our apartment buildings or homes or whatever they're renting. They must also have past due notice of rent, and also if there's any documentation of late fees as it associated with that. We're looking at the program being at a 50% area median income, and that chart on Exhibit 3 is for your information as it relates to what those incomes would be. We could also bring it up to a higher income if you'd like to, but LAHA, which that's what we're using for this program, is limited to no more than 80% of area median income. They also need to prove loss of income, either through a tax or they meeting their income requirements through their tax return, or if they have proof of no income over the last 30 days, is how the program is currently written in here. We wanted to give you an opportunity to discuss other options, and that is if you wanted to maybe make that instead of a 30-day showing proof of no income or loss of income, you could certainly select it to be a 60 or a 90-day as well. Also, too, you could have, if you wanted to, have anything from a 50% area median income up to an 80% median income. The reason staff went with the 50% area median income is that if after our programming assistance with the 2 months, up to 2 months of rental assistance is maybe not enough, but what it does is it gets, because of Neighborhood House administering the eviction program for Ramsey County, it would allow them to have that information and be eligible possibly then to have the Ramsey County eviction. Ramsey County keeps it at 200% of poverty, which is actually closer to the 30-40% AMI. So that is one reason staff was recommending a 50%, but you certainly can go up to an 80%, as various communities are looking at priority of how they want to put their money for the LAHA. So for your consideration is an agreement with the Neighborhood House, which we're really excited to have as a great partner with us. To administer this program. In addition to, I do have a representative here tonight, She is a new member in her position, actually, as the Director of Housing Stability Programs for about the last month. So she'll do her best to answer any questions you may have as well. But we are here to have you give us the opportunity of what direction you'd like to go with this program and then authorize entering into it. The hope is to get this up and going for people to start applying as of May 1st.
All right, thank you, Ms. Kelsey. And I did want to clarify in the qualification, so the 50, if it's at 50% AMI, that has to be sort of over a look-back period, I imagine, because if you look back too far back and they're actively employed and working, a person or a family may not qualify for the 50%, and yet when they're not working for a period of time, they do qualify. So I just wanted to kind of understand how the mechanics of that work.
So it would be either or.
Okay.
And they'd have to justify it. So if they had ultimately no income, let's say a loss of income, that ultimately, that's how it's written, it's either or.
Okay.
Then they would have it certified that they have a loss of income, and Neighborhood House would verify that.
Got it. And so then, of course, that's less than 50% AMI at that point. It's
Correct.
0% AMI.
Correct.
So I just wanted to understand that and make sure also that was okay with the LAHA funding, that we're not going to run afoul of that with this setup.
That's my understanding.
All right. Thank you. Questions from the rest of the board? Member Strawn.
Thank you. I was just curious, I see that Minneapolis has a 30% AMI and St. Paul has an 80%. It's a pretty big disparity. Do you know anything about the reasoning behind those and why?
We were just
end-
talking about that at the beginning, before the meeting, is also St. Paul does theirs on a lottery. So right away, when you apply, apparently within 2 days, they're starting a lottery because they run out of money. And then you'll know within like that week whether you got it or not. So they're, I think, opening their doors to larger, but we haven't really, as I was talking to the program manager for Neighborhood House, we're not really certain why they chose the 80% when everyone else is targeting the 30%, because that is closer to the 200% of the poverty level.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful, and I'm glad you already had that discussion.
All right. Other questions from the members of the board? All right, and just maybe by way of clarification, so 80% AMI opens it up to more people able to qualify. 30% AMI is a far smaller population, obviously more needy population, but a smaller group of folks. And so I guess the reasoning is that 50% AMI seems to be an appropriate number based on what we're seeing in Roseville, and sort of maybe not wanting to open it up so much given the amount of funding we have available.
Correct. And I also had the CAT team take a look at it to see the income spectrum, if they felt comfortable with that, and they felt comfortable with the 50% AMI.
Right, and that's just the top income that somebody can earn. They qualify if they're below that, of course, as we
Correct.
just discussed. Okay, thank you for that. And I don't know if there's anyone else that wanted to speak to this, Representative of Neighborhood House, if you want to, or we don't have anybody from the public, it looks like, that is interested to speak to this. So if we've got all of our questions answered, and if there's a sense of the way the EDA board wants to go with this, we can open it up for council consideration. We do have the request before us, which would be by motion to authorize entering into the agreement or the contract for professional services with Neighborhood House as outlined.
I would make that motion.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Member Graff, seconded by Member Strawn, to authorize entering into that professional services agreement as outlined, with no changes to the program, presumably. We'll go to the maker of the motion, Councilman or Member Graff, to speak to it.
Thank you, Jeannie, for the presentation. It was very helpful. Even though I read it carefully, it's good to hear it described in words. I think it's really an important program. I think the 50%, I really feel like staff thought this through carefully and did research on it. That was my feeling when I was reading through all the details. And I think it will address something that the CAT team has been talking about for some time. The last thing we want in Roseville is people getting evicted out of the house. It just makes the CAT team who deal with the housing situation and the unhoused people in Roseville that much harder. It's much better to keep them in their housing and work out something over time. So I think this program accomplishes that, and I think you have the numbers correct on this. For a start, if something happens down the road and we need to revisit it, we can always do that, as we say up here quite often. So that's why I'm supporting it. Thanks.
Right, and as the seconder, Member Strong.
Thank you. I echo those sentiments, and again, appreciate that you were thinking ahead on this before it was even this particular issue. As we know, we've had a series of issues over the last few years, and you never know when the next unknown pandemic / whatever other thing could come up. And so it's good to know that we have this set up and available if we do need to change it in the future. It's already in place, and hopefully it'll be working well for the people that we serve. So I appreciate, especially, I know Jeannie and Janice have put a ton of time into this, and I appreciate your thoughtfulness on making this happen.
Right, other discussion on the motion? Member Bauer.
Yeah, I think given the restricted use of the LAHA funds, this is a good use of that. And I would encourage you to, I'd be curious to see, reporting back on the utilization of this program, not necessarily in a year's time, but, throughout. So every other month or something, it could just be an email to the EDA or something like that, whatever you feel comfortable with. But I'd be very curious to see how this program progresses.
Right, other discussion? I would just concur with what has been said, and I think that this seems to fit into a niche in the overall range of services that are being provided for people in need of assistance with rent. Whether it's the local nonprofit entities that are providing some immediate emergency type assistance and through great generosity of the community, whether it's the Ramsey County program that can maybe pick up after we provide a couple of months of assistance if needed. I think it provides a nice spectrum of assistance to people, and I am sure that our experts in housing and assistance to people in the community that we have on staff will be able to coordinate well and keep people housed in our community, which is really what we're trying to do. And I appreciate that this also helps with affordability in the sense that people stay in their home or where they're living, as opposed to becoming unhoused, because that really makes life in a lot of ways much more difficult for people to recover from. So I think this is a great solution that we're working together with a lot of others on in various ways, and will be a good solution to move forward with. And I do concur with the notion of looking at, we certainly have a lot of these sales tax dollars from the state coming into the city through a lot of retail going on in Roseville, and certainly it makes sense if we can to expend more if there's more need. Certainly. So we've got that option. We have the dollars if we need to. All right, with that, we've got the motion before us to authorize entering into that agreement. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously, and that is authorized. Thank you to the representative of Neighborhood House, and thank you for partnering with us, because I know it's been a process to get to this point. We're talking to a number of providers and working through the ins and outs of doing this, so we do appreciate that. Thank you. All right, with that, I don't see anything else on our agenda this evening for the Economic Development Authority. The only item remaining, therefore, for the Economic Development Authority is a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Member Schroeder, seconded by Member Bauer to adjourn. No discussion on motion to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye opposed. That passes unanimously. The Economic Development Authority is adjourned at 6:23 p.m. And will shortly convene as the City Council. I hereby call to order the Roseville City Council meeting for Monday, April 13th, 2026 at approximately 6:24 p.m. The roll call will stand as previously called for the EDA meeting with all council members present. Once again, by way of introduction, we have our City Attorney Rachel Tierney, who is on my right, continues to be on my right at the end of the dais this evening, and our City Manager Pat Trudgeon, who is on my left at the other end of the dais. We'll certainly introduce other staff as they participate in the meeting. We'll forego the Pledge of Allegiance, which was handled during the EDA meeting as well. And that brings us to consideration of tonight's agenda. All of our agenda items this evening are consent agenda items, other than our proclamations this evening. Mr. Trudgeon, are there any changes from a staff perspective?
There are no changes, Mr. Mayor.
I am not shocked. Are there any changes from a council perspective or items that council members would like removed from the consent agenda for separate consideration? Does not appear to be the case. We'll check also with the public. Is there anyone here for an item in section 10 of our agenda, which is the consent items? Those are taken up at the end of the meeting, which will be in a few minutes here, and usually don't have a lot of opportunity for public input, questions, or comments. Is there anyone here for an item in section 10?
What is section 10?
That's the consent agenda, the 4 items A through D.
No.
Okay. You're here for general public comment?
Yes, sir.
Got it. All right. I can work through these and figure these things out. Thank you. All right. With that, then, can we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All right. It's been moved by Councilmember Groff, seconded by Councilmember Strawn to approve the agenda. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. We have our agenda for this evening. And as I alluded to a few moments ago, we do have opportunities for public comment during our meeting, and the first one of those is under general public comment at the start of the meeting. This is related to items that are not on our agenda this evening, but are related to either city business or of interest to people in the community. We would just ask under general public comment that people direct their comments or questions to the city council. If we can't immediately answer a question, we may have to follow up. By council rule, there's a 3-minute time limit per speaker, which I will try to enforce gently but generously. And if your name is a name that may not be easy for people to guess the spelling of, once you're done with your comments, you can sign in on the sheet on the clipboard on the table and just let us know how to spell your name for the record. With that, we'll open it up for general public comment, and feel free to have a seat at the table in front of one of the microphones. Welcome.
Don't move the microphone.
Good evening. I'm just here to,
And if you could introduce yourself.
I'm sorry. My name is Mark Bourne, and I'm here to introduce myself as the Republican candidate for House of Representatives, and I'm in 66A, which is, of course, south of 36. But I just want to get it out there that when I get in office, if Roseville, be it what side of the 36 you're on, if they have an issue that they want to get through the state or have problems with the state, I want to be your first point of contact. I'm willing and open to help all the folks, and just hope you all get out there and vote.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate your comments this evening.
Thank you.
And with that, it doesn't look like we have anybody else for general public comment. Then we'll move on to the rest of our agenda. We've got a number of proclamations under recognitions and donations this evening. The first of which relates to Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And the proclamation reads as follows, and then a motion to approve would be in order. Once again, the proclamation reads, whereas the City of Roseville is committed to recognizing and honoring the contributions of all members of our community, and whereas in 1992, Congress passed Public Law 102-450, which annually designated May as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and whereas the month of May was selected to commemorate the immigration of Japanese citizens to the United States on May 7th of 1843, and to mark the anniversary of the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad on May 10th, 1869, with the majority of the workers being of Chinese immigrant status, who were often mistreated during that process. And whereas Japanese American troops fought for freedom from tyranny abroad in World War II, while their families here at home were interned simply on the basis of their ethnic origin. And whereas in 1965, the Immigration and Nationality Act opened new doors of opportunity to more Asian and Pacific Islander immigrants to the United States. And whereas the end of the Vietnam War brought new Vietnamese, Cambodian, Hmong, and Laotian communities to the United States of America and specifically to Minnesota. And whereas there are over 20 million Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in the United States today, with over 260,000 calling Minnesota home and nearly 3,500 in Roseville based on the 2020 census. And whereas many Roseville residents identify as Asian American and Pacific Islander, particularly among Karen and Hmong communities, they contribute to the vibrant community of Roseville through their rich cultures, and also as business owners, entrepreneurs, educators, scientists, artists, and in many other ways. And whereas the Hmong people began arriving in Minnesota in about 1975 as refugees from destructive wars in their homeland, in which the Twin Cities metro region has the largest concentration of Hmong people in the United States, and whereas Karen people have been oppressed in their homeland for decades and sought refuge in other places, with St. Paul currently supporting one of the largest Karen communities in America, and whereas, despite all the progress, many Asian American and Pacific Islanders continue to face persistent inequality and discrimination, including barriers to equal access to education, employment, and health care, Asian Americans, especially those who are Muslim, Hindu, or Sikh, too often face senseless violence and harassment due to the color of their skin, the tenets of their faith, or by merely being Asian. And whereas in 2026, Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month honors the theme of power in unity, strengthening communities together, and whereas the City of Roseville invites all members of the community to renew their commitment to ensuring cultural humility, racial equity, and justice by participating in activities designed to advance the cause of freedom and equity for all, now therefore be resolved, the City of Roseville hereby declares the month of May 2026 to be Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
So moved.
Second.
That was moved by Councilmember Groff, seconded by Councilmember Schroeder to approve that proclamation. Discussion on that motion.
Just that
Councilmember Graf.
I appreciate the work that the Equity and Inclusion Commission has done on these, and I wonder if they revisit them again every year or two. Do you know, Pat?
They haven't in the last couple of years, certainly not as.
Because they've had a lot on their
Not
plate.
well, yeah, not as new Equity and Inclusion Commission, the HRIC, in the
Yep.
previous iteration did several years ago.
Thanks.
And I know that, just as a side note, I have asked communication staff or community engagement staff to kind of keep on top of the proclamations, keep them up to date in terms of references and things like that.
Because we had
So-
to do a lot of work on those at
Yeah,
one point because
yeah.
they've been let go so long.
Right, they do get updated on an annual basis. All right, we've got the motion before us to approve that proclamation. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. The second proclamation tonight deals with Older Adults Month. Whereas Roseville is the home to many residents aged 60 and older, and whereas older adults in Roseville are the roots from which our community has grown, who bestow gifts of wisdom and insight upon younger generations and strengthen the bonds between neighbors to create a better place to live. And whereas the City of Roseville recognizes and focuses on older adults taking charge of their health, getting engaged in their community, and making positive impacts on the lives of others. And whereas older adults are productive, active, and influential members of society, sharing essential talents, wisdom, and life experiences with families, friends, and neighbors. And whereas our community can provide our community can provide that recognition and respect by enriching the quality of life for older adults by increasing opportunities to remain in their communities as active and engaged citizens, providing services, technologies, and support systems that allow older adults to foster and maintain connections within the community, and emphasizing the value of older adults by publicly recognizing their contributions to the diversity, strength, and unity of our community. Now, therefore, be resolved, the City of Roseville declares May 2026 to be Older Adults Month in Roseville, and be it further resolved that we urge every citizen to honor our older adults and the professionals, family members, and volunteers who often care for them. Our recognition of older adults and their involvement in our lives can help us achieve stronger and more meaningful connections with each other and enrich our community's quality of life.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Councilmember Strawn, seconded by Councilmember Groff. Discussion on that motion. Councilmember Schroeder?
I just wanted to mention that a great many of our volunteers are in this category, and I wanted to say I appreciate how much they really contribute to our community. And so, and then I do know I get a lot of calls from this group as well, just because they're very active in what's going on here, so they do care deeply. So I'm glad to see it.
Any other discussion on the motion? I think, yeah, recognizing older adults in our community is also recognizing that a lot of times their leadership by example for the rest of us in the community. With that, we've got the motion before us to approve that proclamation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye opposed. That passes unanimously. That proclamation is approved. The next proclamation this evening is related to Mental Health Awareness Month in Roseville. And it reads as follows. Whereas mental health is a part of overall health and helps to sustain an individual's thought processes, relationships, productivity, and ability to adapt to change and face adversity, mental illness adversely affects those abilities and is often life-threatening in nature. According to the Mental Health Alliance, 1 in 5 adults and children will experience a mental health condition in their lifetime. And whereas it is important for all to maintain mental health and learn the symptoms of mental illness, long delays, sometimes decades, can often occur between the time symptoms first appear and when individuals get help. Early identification and treatment can make a difference in successful management of mental illness as well as recovery, and the lives, I will add, of folks who are dealing with those issues. And whereas we recognize numerous residents of the city of Roseville are impacted by mental illness, and whereas every citizen and community can make a difference in helping end the silence and stigma that for too long has surrounded mental illness and discouraged people from getting help, and whereas public education and civic activities can encourage mental health and help improve the lives of individuals and families affected by mental illness, now therefore be resolved, the City of Roseville declares the month of May 2026 to be Mental Health Awareness Month.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Councilmember Groff, seconded by Councilmember Schroeder. Discussion on that, motion on that proclamation, Councilmember Schroeder.
Just a small piece, if we could put in the header, Mental Health Awareness Month of May. May is missing from that header.
Okay. To be consistent with the other ones.
Yes.
Yep, appreciate that. Councilmember Strawn.
I'd just also like to acknowledge the many people in our community who work very diligently day in and day out for the mental health and work on the NAMI board and other pieces, and many of whom are attached to Councilmember Groff in his work with NYFS, and just we have a lot of people within our community who are working to build and improve the mental health of those who live and work here too.
Duly noted. Other comments, Councilmember Groff?
Yes, I'm glad we coordinate with NYFS to address mental health in youth and their families. Also, another important part of this is the CAP team's work and the work they do with people that are struggling with mental illness and helping them find services that work for them.
All right. If there's no further discussion on the motion, we have the motion before us to approve this proclamation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. That proclamation is approved. And our final proclamation this evening is in relation to Arbor Day. It reads as follows. Whereas Roseville's trees have been a significant element of our community because of their beauty and importance to our environment, and whereas trees are an increasingly vital resource for Roseville, enriching our lives by purifying air and water, helping to conserve soil and energy, serving as recreational settings as well as wildlife habitat of all kinds, and whereas activities such as construction damage and pollution, as well as drought and disease, have damaged and destroyed many trees, which are therefore in need of replacement. And whereas the City of Roseville seeks to positively impact our environment by planting trees and ensuring that these trees are nurtured and protected, and whereas trees in our community increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community, and whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal, and whereas trees assist with drainage and flood mitigation and reduce city costs for sewer and water treatment, and whereas everyone is encouraged to care for our trees and plant as many trees as possible, now therefore be resolved, the City of Roseville declares April 24th, 2026 as Arbor Day.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Councilmember Schroeder, seconded by Councilmember Bauer. Discussion on that motion? Councilmember Strawn?
You're in the maker.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I
Less
just
formal
wanted
on
to
these.
say how appreciative I am of how much Roseville's is very active in keeping the trees not only healthy, but with the sale of the trees, and to really prioritize this as an item. So I think this is really important for our community not just on April 24th, but all year round.
All right, Councilmember Strawn.
Thank you. I just wanted to reiterate with our actions, things that we've done all year long to address Arbor Day with our tree sales, our ongoing emerald ash borer remediation and grants seeking, and work with the Tree Trust. And I note that our 2026 tree sale has been sold out. And so it is an ongoing interest to people in the community to obtain trees at this reduced rate, and we're so fortunate to have that dedication kind of from top to bottom. So I think that really speaks to not just a set of words, but really an active proclamation.
All right, other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. That proclamation is approved. We don't have any normal business items this evening. We only have our consent business items, and so I'll turn it right over to City Manager Trudgeon to go through those items.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have a very short consent agenda item, agenda tonight for your consideration. Item 10A approves payments in the amount of $570,008.35. Item 10B approves expenditures for escape fire protection to conduct private hydrant inspections, replacement of a police squad that was totaled after being run into, unfortunately. We expect that the funding from the insurance claim will partially offset the cost of the new purchase. Then finally, under this item, the purchase of whacker roller for use for pavement maintenance in the city. Agenda item 10C approves a resolution to award a contract to Instuiform Technologies in the amount of $1.1 million for the 2026 sanitary sewer lining project. And item 10D approves a resolution opting the city in as a participant to receive funding for the newly created Ramsey County Economic Development Authority that was created by special legislation last session, and that's something that the city council did come out and support. And that's the consent agenda.
All right, thank you, Mr. Trudgeon. Is there a motion on the consent agenda this evening?
So moved. Second.
All right, it's moved by Councilmember Bauer, seconded by Councilmember Strawn. Discussion on that motion.
No.
I just did want to clarify on the over 10,000 items, the replacement squad, that is going to be advanced from a purchase that would have been made in a subsequent year at the end of the life of that vehicle. Do we kind of swap out then with how that works in our capital improvement plan?
Well, yeah, I can't tell you what age this squad it was exactly. This will be a replacement because we need it now.
Right.
It would probably, if it would extend the life of that, so our CIP would have to be adjusted. We hope to get as much dollars from the insurance claim, but it just, as you know, probably not going to cover everything that we need
Right.
to do. We are able to keep a lot of the stuff that's inside that squad and we use, but it's the actual vehicle itself, and we have to outfit it again as well.
Right.
So I don't have a direct answer for your question, Mr. Mayor, but I think we'll have to adjust the CIP based on
All right.
this.
It would just make sense that it probably wasn't necessary, if we would only have that kind of luck, that it would be one that's for replacement
Yeah,
this
ready
year,
for
right?
replacement,
Yeah. All right, thank you for that. If there's no further discussion, we've got the motion before us to approve these items. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Those items are approved. That brings us then to future agenda review. Mr. Trudgeon, once again.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. As we've talked about several times, we'll be having a work session on April 20th. We're going to be meeting in a special place, the Roseville Fire Station Training Room. 4 to 7 is still a public meeting, but we're going to use this time to really talk a little bit about what we're preliminarily seeing in the 2027 budget with some carryovers from 26 and some pressures we see now. And what we're going to talk about is very preliminary numbers because there's a lot that needs to be sorted out, but it gives a good guidance as far as kind of where we stand. Then we want to talk about some what we are calling budget themes related to our strategic plan that we see that are imminent. It's going to be a challenge, I think, as we all know, to deal with the upcoming budget, with normal pressures, and trying to anticipate other things. So we're trying something different this year and getting really, really early in the process here. So hopefully you'll find it valuable. The department heads will be there, and we hope to have a really good interaction and really no decisions coming out of this, just more information in any direction. And so hopefully you'll learn a lot. So we'll go from 4 to 7. We'll have some food there, so bring your appetite. But I think we kind of gauged for about 3 hours or so. That's probably the limit as far as in that deep into it. So that'll be the only agenda item. We won't be taking up any other business. Reminder, on the 22nd is the Roseville Business Council, or Business Connect is how we brand it today. That's at 8 a.m., 8 to 9 a.m. here in this chambers. Our next council meeting is the 4th. We have several more proclamations. We do have the need for the council to meet as a Board of Adjustment and Appeals. There was a variance that was denied earlier this month regarding electric chargers for a development that's going to be happening. The developers have appealed that to the City Council for your consideration. So we'll provide all that background for you if you're not familiar with it yet, but they'll be coming forward. We also have anticipate having the city manager performance evaluation ready to go for closed session for some initial conversation by the council, and we'll have a few other items added to that. And just a reminder, May 11th, right now we have a regularly scheduled EDA meeting, city council meeting. I do know at the 11th we'll have the auditor here to present the 2025 audit, and then a meeting on May 18th as well. So that's what we have coming up in the next month and a half.
All right, thank you, Mr. Trudgeon. Questions for City Manager on future agenda items? All right, are there any council member initiated items for future meetings? Or announcements, communications, reports?
That's what I was going to do. May 6th, don't forget, Northeast Youth and Family Services, their annual leadership luncheon, 11:30, Badness Heights Commons. All the details can be found at nyfs.org.
I believe registration closed earlier last week. Is
It
there
did.
still the
Still a
ability for
chance to
people
get in if you
Okay.
let us know quickly. We don't want last minute because we do have to make reservations with the caterer.
Right, certainly. All right. Other announcements, communications from council members? If there are not, there are no other business items, no other business before the city council this evening, so a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Groff, seconded by Councilmember Strawn to adjourn. There is no discussion on a motion to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. We are adjourned at 6:46 PM. Thank you, everyone.